China in historic transition. Challenges and risks abound. China's problems are daunting. Slower growth, social imbalances, industrial overcapacity, massive pollution, global volatility. How to address such diverse, complex issues? China has an overarching integrated strategy. It's called the 5 major development concepts: innovative development, coordinated development, green development, open development, shared development. How can China rebalance its imbalanced economy, reducing large gaps between rich and poor, coastal and inland, urban and rural? In this episode, Closer to China explores the 5th major concept, shared development. China's economy must be transformed. The 5 major development concepts is the new guiding strategy, and shared is the 5th of the 5 concepts. Since initiating market reforms in 1978, China has lifted well over 600 million people out of poverty. China is now the world's 2nd largest economy. Yet with a population approaching 1.4 billion, China is still a developing country. Per capita income is still only a fraction of that of developed countries, and many of China's reforms remain incomplete. That's why shared development is essential. And that's why we come to the northwest province of Qinghai to witness how healthcare reform can enable all to enjoy the fruits of China's success. Qinghai is one of the least developed provinces in China. Of its 48 administrative counties, 15 are below the national poverty line. It's an example where China is focusing on bridging the gap between the developed and the developing. Despite the skylines and luxury goods in its major cities, China still has 70 million people living in poverty. This may be a small percentage of China's entire population, but bringing all these people out of poverty is a last remaining step in reaching a moderately prosperous society and thereby realizing a major part of the Chinese dream. In October 2015, the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee put forth the 5 major development concepts: innovative development, coordinated development, green development, open development, shared development. China's economy must be transformed. The 5 major development concepts is the new guiding strategy to effect the transformation, and shared is the 5th of the 5 concepts. Shared development comes last, not because it's important, but because it requires the success of the earlier concepts to bring their benefits to the entire population, especially to poorer people. What is your concept of shared development, which is the 5th of the 5 major development concepts?
Shared development is a fundamental concept put forth during the 13th Five-Year Plan. China's development is for the people, of the people, with the fruits of development shared by the people. This is what we have been adhering to for many years. Under the current conditions, the reason we especially emphasize shared concept is because in the process of comprehensively developing a moderately prosperous society, everyone should get involved and share the benefits of that accomplishment. This is our target at the moment.
Shared has 2 general paths of implementation. Locally, urban areas helping rural areas, and nationally, more developed provinces helping less developed provinces. We see both kinds of sharing at work in Qinghai. Located on the northeastern part of the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau, Qinghai Province is one of the largest province-level administrative divisions in China by area. It's the birthplace of the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and the Mekong River, and harbors the largest lake, the Qinghai Lake. With abundant water resources, Qinghai is home to one of the world's best pasture lands. Some even say people here are born on horseback. In the middle of the 3rd century AD, nomads related to the Mongolic Xianbei people migrated to pasture lands around Qinghai Lake and built this tiger podium for troop deployments. Since then, the region has fallen under the control of Mongolians, Tibetans, and Tang and Song dynasties. With a population of 5.8 million, half of whom are ethnic, Qinghai has long been a melting pot for various ethnic groups, including Han, Tibetans, Hui, Tu, Mongols, and Salers. Despite massive urbanization across China, many people in Qinghai still live on the grasslands, herding cattle and horses. Urbanization enhances standards of living. Centralized population mean better transportation, greater access to goods, increased job opportunities, and superior medical care. With a population of less than Chicago's, but with an area larger than France's, Qinghai enjoys few of those benefits, especially when it comes to medical care. For the Qinghai government, shared development means the reallocation of public resources and services to ensure fair and balanced development, and thus to realize the core values of prosperity, equality, justice, and harmony among all citizens. As an old saying goes, when Qinghai people get sick, time is the best and only remedy. Providing health care in Qinghai has traditionally been a challenge. Describe the situation of health care in Qinghai when you first came here many years ago and began to focus on health care. What was the situation then, so we have a benchmark with which to analyze health care as an example of sharing?
Fairly speaking, China's healthcare conditions, including those in Qinghai, have witnessed great improvements. But before the medical reform, the incidence of disease was quite high in the tough condition plateau in Qinghai. The infrastructure in healthcare was also relatively weak. A major problem with Qinghai is the vastly imbalanced allocation of resources. Currently, more than half the population live in rural areas, while 70% of the quality resources are to be found in urban areas. The distribution gap is not only between urban and rural, but also between different regions.
This is especially true in Yushu County. On April 14, 2010, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck the area. The earthquake toppled buildings and shredded structures into piles of debris. Rescue crews scrambled through rubble for days in a race against time to search for survivors. 5,000 people were confirmed dead. Over 12,000 were wounded, of whom over 1,400 were severely injured, like Bai Ma Yongxi. When the earthquake struck, she was buried inside her home. At the age of 53, she lost her right leg and the ability to work.
On the very day of the earthquake, I got up in the morning as usual. I was putting on trousers and getting ready for the day when the earthquake suddenly swept through. The whole building fell upon me. Later, with the help of my friends and relatives, I was sent to the hospital where I was found to have a broken leg.
After the earthquake, the breadwinner couldn't work, jeopardizing the family's security. Bai Ma's 78-year-old mother started to care for the family, and her son was on the verge of dropping out of school. Treatment for her leg could mount to 50,000 yuan. With no income at all, there was no way the family could make ends meet.
Qinghai is an underdeveloped province where the poverty rate is higher than 13%. Among the poverty-stricken population, 20.7% have actually been dragged below the poverty line because of illness. Based on such conditions, we took the lead in carrying out the critical illness insurance program while combining the policies of poverty recognition and targeted poverty alleviation in 2012. It was even the first in the nation. For households receiving guarantees of food, clothing, medical care, housing, and burial expenses, destitute families and severely disabled people, we offer almost 100% reimbursements for their medical bills. Therefore, this policy of medical insurance for critical diseases has to a large extent relieved the problem of people sliding back into poverty due to illnesses.
To eliminate poverty in Qinghai, the government implemented in 2009 a series of measures aimed at providing affordable, easy-to-access healthcare services. With the enhanced package, healthcare takes up more than 7% of Qinghai's GDP, while in other provinces, healthcare accounts for only about 5%. Of the 31 provincial-level administrative regions in China, Qinghai's GDP is ranked 30th, next to last. That's why, with GDP growth in China so important, Qinghai's decision to focus on healthcare is a bold one.
President Xi Jinping once commented that it is our mission to meet the people's desire for a happy life. So in my view, for free and comprehensive development, everyone should enjoy three basic rights. The right to survival is the fundamental. The right to education is the key, and the right to health is the guarantee. Our goal is comprehensively building a moderately prosperous society by 2020. But to judge whether we have attained moderate prosperity, we need to look to the people in the rural area and their health conditions. Therefore, the priority for us in the provincial committee in Qinghai province is to improve people's livelihoods with our best efforts. We need to deliver fruits for the opening up and reform policies to different ethnic groups so that the development is really well shared. This explains why we're focusing on improving people's livelihoods by prioritizing education and deepening reforms in the medical and healthcare systems.
With financial assistance from the national and provincial government, changes in Qinghai are gradually taking place. Today, 98% of Qinghai residents enjoy universal health care coverage. For government subsidy recipients, the coverage could provide as much as 95% reimbursement of their medical cost.
Thanks to the system of lowest life guarantee, I can have 95% of my medical costs in the hospital reimbursed.
Providing Social Security, particularly health care, to its poorest citizens is just one of the ways in which China is bridging the gap between the haves and have-nots. A prime concept for reducing all expressions of economic and social imbalances is shared development. While the Chinese government is a leading player promoting shared development, there are others. To some Qinghai citizens, healthcare benefits seem far-fetched, despite the government's effort to inform them of their rights. This is especially true for highland herdsmen who live in tents and have no modern appliances, not even radios or televisions. That's where help from other sectors of society comes in. Ba Ding is a lama at Yushu's Changgu Temple. During the daytime, he works at the temple's clinic, and during the nighttime, he studies Buddhism like his fellow apprentices. On Qinghai's vast pasture land, where ethnic minorities are generally religious believers, one doesn't have to travel far to find a temple. That's why a Lama doctor like Ba Ding is vital for Qinghai's public health.
I see here that the temple also functions as a healthcare center. So how does that work?
This clinic was built in 2014 with investment from the central government and contributions from warm-hearted people in society and some foundations. I normally stay in the temple and have the door for inpatient services open regularly for certain periods in the morning and afternoon. Patients can come for a diagnosis during that time frame. In order to help those elderly ones who have trouble walking, I'd offer door-to-door diagnosis and later door-to-door delivery of the drugs. Our temple organizes such free medical services and free medicine provision in various pastoral areas many times a year to deliver benefits to the people.
On an average day, how many patients come here for healthcare services?
On average, I'd say about 20 to 30 per day.
The clinic in Changgu Temple gets its funding from the temple, and the temple in turn gets its support from the society.
I know that you provide healthcare services here, particularly for the local area, the villages nearby. How is that funded?
I'd say around 2 million. The current medical center was built with a total donation of 750,000 RMB from the Beijing Human Rights Foundation.
It's not rare for Qinghai to get support from other areas. Though Qinghai's GDP has been growing at about 8% per year, it remains one of the least developed regions, and so assistance comes from across the country. At the grassroots level, foundations and individuals from all walks of life come to Qinghai to donate, contribute, assist, and invest. Exemplifying shared development, more advanced provinces and municipalities are assigned by the national government to help develop the autonomous prefectures in Qinghai.
Shared development, which is one of the 5 major development concepts now, talks about areas of the country that are more developed, helping those that are less developed. So in the program to strengthen the grassroots healthcare, particularly the training of doctors, do other regions of the country who are more advanced help Qinghai in your new innovative programs?
Qinghai is an underdeveloped province. For its 6 Tibetan autonomous prefectures, 6 provinces and municipalities like Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin, Jiangsu, and Shandong have been arranged to offer assistance. Within this big frame, there is a specific pairing project for medical service improvement in Qinghai. I'd like to invite you to have a look in our autonomous prefectures. You may see how the advanced provinces and municipalities have helped us in building comprehensive hospitals, minority hospitals, and offered us equipment and facilities. Over the recent years, our autonomous prefectures have achieved leapfrog progress in terms of medical and healthcare infrastructure development and facility equipment.
We have drafted more than 1,200 expert physicians to offer long-term assistance in medical institutions of the county and township level. Of course, members of the medical team will be shifted regularly. But the number of medical service receiving hospitals and healthcare recipients are growing over the years. So the mechanism has played a very positive role.
Notwithstanding Qinghai's development and healthcare reform, challenges remain. The most daunting is the shortage of doctors at the grassroots level. Of Qinghai's 5.8 million residents, half are concentrated in Xining, Qinghai's capital, and Haidong. The other half are scattered over an area of 700,000 square kilometers. According to the Qinghai healthcare reform targets, there should be 2 general practitioners per 10,000 residents. By this standard, a single doctor working in rural areas would have to cover an area of 1,200 square kilometers.
The most prominent challenges, or to put it another way, are weak links coming 3 aspects. Some are shared problems, the same with other Western provinces, while some are unique ones, characteristic of Qinghai. First, we face a great shortage of expert personnel. Frankly speaking, we lack leading experts at the provincial level, backbone talents at the municipal and prefecture level, general practitioners at the grassroots. For example, in counties and townships, our target is to have 3 to 4 general physicians in county and township clinics. But even this is still our target yet to be attained.
To compensate for the shortage of doctors, the government recruits part-time medical workers to help. Bai Ma Daishi is one of them. Every season, she rotates with 2 of her colleagues to provide medical services for 703 villages in an area of 14 square kilometers.
Where do you work around here?
I'm a village doctor working where the villagers are all herdsmen. Altogether, there are 7 administrative villages, more than 70 households with a population about 703.
How many years have you been a village doctor?
9 years.
What type of training did you have in order to be a village doctor in this region?
Each training lasts about half a month or a week.
Like all doctors in Qinghai, Bai Ma's salary is paid by government fiscal transfers. It's a multi-level structure that shares tax revenues through a system of tax allocations and transfers, so as to ensure fair and balanced development throughout the country. In addition to healthcare, fiscal transfer payments cover a variety of areas, including direct poverty reduction programs, equal and affordable educational opportunities, environmental protection, and targeted infrastructure development for China's less developed geographical regions, social classes, and ethnic groups. When it comes to healthcare, the demand and the expense are both enormous.
With improvements in social health care guarantees or progress in medical insurance by the provincial and central governments, people's demand for treatment also rises. But on the part of hospitals, there is some mismatch along the way. As you said, we have all noticed the growing demand for hospital beds, but our service quality and treatment skills are not enough to meet the needs of every patient. There is still a gap in service provision and information sharing.
At the heart of the question is whether there is enough money to pay all the bills. Officials in Qinghai seem confident.
As I mentioned, the current medical spending comes from 3 parts. There is already a mechanism in place, so the government spending in this regard is well under control at a reasonable level. Last year, government investment is 7.16% of the total GDP. I think this is about the right percentage, and I believe this is a sustainable policy in the long run.
Has healthcare costs been an increasing percentage of the government's budget?
Before the medical reforms, the government's overall spending on healthcare accounted for about 4% of the GDP total. But afterwards, the proportion kept growing with the increasing total volume of our economy and fiscal investment. Now we stand at 7.16%. Since the national target set out in the 13th five-year plan is 6%, I think our 7.16% in Qinghai indicates that we have kept in pace with the economic growth rate of 7% set out in the 13th five-year plan. I think our rate is quite proper considering the current economic landscape. 7% is just moderate, with no more big increase in the future and no chance of falling off as well. So my view is we should just keep to the current rate and proportion of investment. China is at a crucial juncture for establishing a moderately prosperous society. For its economy to scramble over the ridge and for the whole country to overcome the middle income trap. We have to apply the 5 major development concepts to resolve the difficulties and crack the problems towards sustainable economic development of a higher level and of better quality. So we can actually take the 5 major development concepts as powerful ideological weapons to successfully achieve our goals in building this moderately prosperous society and lay a solid foundation for the second centenary goal and get over the middle income trap. As long as we follow the guidelines to map our strategy and draw up our macroeconomic policies, we can easily adjust and optimize our economic structure, shift our economic driver, and successfully realize our first centenary goal featuring a medium-high rate of growth.
China can become a moderately prosperous society only when the country's severe economic and social imbalances are reduced. And shared development, the final of the 5 major development concepts, is a prime initiative. China's government can effect continuous and robust poverty relief because it maintains political power long term, which enables strategic consistency. And it affects ongoing fiscal transfers which support non-economic programs. Sharing is a way of thinking. It begins by taking seriously society's responsibility for its poorest and most vulnerable members, and it operates at all levels. That's why healthcare in Qinghai is a microcosm for shared development in China. It is good to witness progress, but it is better to remain unsatisfied. What happens in Qinghai and in similar less developed areas are benchmarks for calibrating progress in shared development, taking us closer to China. Where is China going? What is President Xi Jinping thinking? Our series, based on the book Understanding the 5 Major Development Concepts, gives 5 precise answers: innovative development, coordinated development, green development, open development, shared development. Individually, each of these 5 concepts enables China to focus on critical problems that cry out for solution. Collectively, all of the 5 concepts provide a coherent strategy for transforming the economy and developing the country. The goal is clear: achieving a moderately prosperous society and realizing the Chinese dream.